Journey is the third and arguably the title that has placed the developers That Game Company on the map. This game dwarfs the first two games that came from the developers, that was Flow and also Flower. Both games I've done many indie game reviews for. Link will be in the description if you want to check those out. So Journey began its development in 2006 and wasn't released until 2013, with Sony giving the developers extensions to be able to complete this game. What many may not know is that during this game's development, Journey pretty much bankrupted That Game Company in the process, meaning that people who was working on this game still came in to see it through even though they probably wasn't going to get paid for it. Now that takes some dedication and a lot of heart to do, and boy did it pay off. It will be after a couple of years will go by before they create the game that took the aspects and things learned from Journey to create the game Sky Children of the Light, which is their most ambitious title yet. Originally released for PlayStation 3, while I got the PlayStation 4 version, which was included within this collection that also came with two of the other games that came from That Game Company. This will be the version that I'll be reviewing today, so let's get into it. So in this world somewhat or used to be inhabited by these dwellers who seemingly are capable of knowledge dealing in magic, technology, and innovation, live these enigmatic beings. Needless to say, a lot of things transpired which is mostly hinted at and left up to the interpretation of the player who has to decipher it for themselves. Now as one of which who belongs to such inhabitants, the responsibility of making a pilgrimage to reach the peak of this mountain is bestowed upon this character. What lies up at the top is unsure, but for all the player knows, it is very important that you must complete this journey without fail. Do I really have to tell you that this game looks good? I mean, it holds up after all these years since being on the PS3. Having it on the modern console just makes everything better. Now, I would describe this game as looking, poetic. All the scenery just looks majestic and intentional to better drive the narrative forward. And even down to the technical aspect of the graphics, it's just, French kiss. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is the environment, where if you really dislike sand and snow, I will ask you to refrain from playing this title because that is what this game is going to have plenty of. Another thing that I appreciated about this game was how it presented your different time of days on your travels. There was this one segment where I remember seeing the sun reflecting off the sand while you're gliding, making everything seem golden. That moment right there was just something you just don't forget. And again, this may sound dumb just to sit here and talk about the sand and snow, but it's a character within itself. There is something that I had to take note of that would appear to be a pattern or a trope within That Game's Company games. This will be something that I'll receive return in the other game, Sky. In the beginning, things will be a little bit brighter in tone, but there will always be a section where things become dark and a bit scary. But after you bypass this, there will always be this grand finale that will finish off the game. That's exactly what occurs here within Journey, and it kinda serves as a precursor to what happens within Sky. Looking at these enigmatic character designs that don't express any emotion at all, their body movements actually do it instead. Just by observing what your character has to endure alone will move the player to express a bit of empathy and an array of emotions as well. And lastly, I also recall asking myself and wondering why these things that look like comets crashing from the sky was. And when I got to the end, I kinda just smiled because of what it meant. Overall, within the visual department, Journey is stunning and is a lovely experience. Journey can be considered somewhat of a linear adventure game where the main character you play as has to travel through these small pockets of areas just to get to this final destination, which is the top of this mountain. At the player's disposal is the ability to walk around, make this weird sound accompanied by this incantation as a means of signaling and activating things. And lastly, the ability to jump and semi-fly around. Now, your ability to fly is dictated by how much energy resides in the length of your scarf. As you travel from place to place, you find these glyphs hidden throughout the world. With every glyph obtained, your scarf becomes longer and longer, but when your energy runs out, you just have to walk it out until you come across these things what appear to be these red strips of carpet. Even though these things appear to be just objects, they really are sentient beings, or at least that's how this game like to display them as. However, when you stand by them, you'll replenish your energy. Now, if you're online, more than likely you'll come across another random player that can be spotted and will probably partner up with you. That definitely happened to me, and strangely enough, I began feeling some semblance of a bond as we played together. I attempted to help and instruct the player to maneuver through this one part, and often the other player would just panic and get into trouble. Nevertheless, I would still try to help and hope that this person would follow my lead just so we can get to the destination at hand. But when the player vanished, I kind of felt a bit sad because we were so close to reaching towards the end of the game. But just like life, well, I had to keep moving and finish my journey on my own. But during the time while we were playing together, I noticed some sort of benefits that came along with playing with a companion. For example, whenever we was close by each other, we replenished each other's energy. And at the end of my journey during the credits, I was able to see who my mysterious companion was. Throughout the different sessions that the player is going to be coming across, it usually follows the same formula. Search for glyphs, set free these carpet creatures, and activate statues or places that follow these drawings. And afterwards, watch a small cinematic scene to give abstract hints as to what occurred to these land's inhabitants, and move on. Rinse and repeat. Well, at least that's how it is at the beginning of the game, but on the back end, throw in some small stealth sections and level obstacles, and then you have Journey all wrapped up with a bow. So in conclusion, the gameplay is very simple and not complicated. Disney quality is what I would describe the sound design. One example in particular are these creatures that reminded me of those big crab things from Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Hearing these monsters kinda scared the crap out of me with this massive sounding presence. This was definitely a standout for me. Hearing the sand and how the snow corresponded to my movements, along with the changes in the weather giving me audio cues for maneuvering the stages, all was executed perfectly. As far as how the techniques was implemented, I kinda dig the way how the music phases in when it comes to pivotal moments, making it more memorable, and then just fades out, giving the feeling that something is about to happen. There is this article that I read that literally depicted how each sound was created. Everything from repitching the sound of birds for the player to do their signaling thing, to placing sand inside of bosses and other objects just to get the sound effect. Big ups to Steve Johnson. The guy has literally been contributing skills to so many titles over the years. Safe to say, he's been at work. The music for Journey was composed by Austin Winery, who was also responsible for the music featured and made for the video games Flow, The Pathless, Abzu, and Control, just to name a few. But he also did music for movies and shows too. Within Journey's OST, expect to hear mostly string instruments throughout the majority of this 18-track project. From listening to how serene and calming the music is, just purely from an auditorial experience, I would describe it as captivating as it is full of movement. My two favorite tracks being Apotheosis, whose title is certainly befitting of when you hear it within the game. To me, this song is a combination of all elements: movement, emotion, breakdowns, and transitions, with this ending also being the beginning. In order for you to get a better understanding what I mean by that, you'll just have to play the game for yourself. My second favorite song is called I Was Born For This, with Lisbeth Scott giving this emotional vocal performance. And actually, her repertoire of contributions to many films and medias will have you watching this video review for hours on end. So, to do you and me a favor, I'll just post the official websites to both artists, and also where you can pick up a copy of Journey's original soundtrack for yourself. Links will be in the description below as always. During the time of Journey's release, I can easily see why this game will become such a staple within the indie gaming world. It's charming, easy to pick up for casual gamers, and in a lot of ways introduce somewhat of a philosophy in regards to metaphorically implementing meaning into its gameplay mechanics. And as I said before within the gameplay section, an example is the ability to see and interact with other random players if you're online. I mean, you can't talk to them besides the little chirp you do, and interestingly enough, you discover that it is possible to communicate with others without words, but rather your actions. Now you may be asking yourself exactly what could be the symbolic meaning behind this. Well, when you meet these players, there is a possibility that they may have completed their pilgrimage quite a few times, making them experienced and well knowledgeable of the secrets in every nook and cranny. Besides the length of their scarf, you can easily tell which ones who are well versed within Journey, and if you see anybody with this white garb on, oh, best believe they're the OGs. Most of the time when you come across another players who have played the game, more than likely they will try to direct you to helpful places and assist you along your journey, no pun intended. This simple message for one to connect with another player, but more importantly another person, and communicate and want to help is quite powerful. To me, this symbolically means that there are some people that you will meet in life that you may not have any relation to that will offer a word of advice or give a few hints that they probably wish somebody would have given them when when they was in your position. This notion provides a bit of solace to those who may feel alone, depressed, or even isolated, let alone misunderstood. This mere thought and point of view from thatgamecompany will only be amplified and made centrally focused within the game sky. Also, if you dig enough on YouTube, you'll be able to find these videos showcasing the several prototypes that took Journey from looking like this to this and finally to this. Given the gameplay time that it took me to complete this, Journey is rather short in terms of length. It's probably about like 2 hours tops. However, I would get what I referred to at the beginning of this review, the Journey Collection. That is, if you have a PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, for other systems, you just have to get it individually, which is now available on Steam and Epic Games for PC, Apple iOS, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 3 if you still got one. The price tag will be around $15, but I will check out this piece of art if you got the spare change. But until next time, stay safe out there, and peace, y'all.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit up that notification bell, and I gotta go.